Stay with us. We're about to take you on an exciting and bumpy ride.
Bush became president in 2001. He was a Republican from Texas. He narrowly beat Al Gore in the 2000 election.
The stunner at this hour is that we can call Al Gore the winner in the Wolverine state.
Governor Bush is the winner in Ohio, and he grabs the Buckeye State's 21 electoral votes.
It's also a state.
CNN is making another call right now. Governor Bush moving very quickly in Tennessee, embarrassing Vice President Gore by snatching his state's 11 electoral votes. Stand by. CNN right now is moving our earlier declaration of Florida back to the too close to call column. This no longer is a victory for Vice President Gore. We're moving it back.
In the state of Florida, with 91% of the precincts reporting George W. Bush at 50%, Al Gore 48%.
George Bush, governor of Texas, will become the 43rd president of the United States.
And now, these are the defining moments of George W. Bush's presidency, counting down from number 5.
President Bush proposed a Medicare reform that would give people the freedom to choose the provider they want. He also argued that Social Security was antiquated and needed to be changed. His plan had too many flaws and it eventually failed.
With this law, we are providing more access to comprehensive exams, disease screenings, and other preventative care so that seniors across this land can live better and healthier lives. It's time to come together to get it done so that we can truthfully say in America, no child will be left behind, not one single child.
One of Bush's promises was to reform the educational system. His plan for this was No Child Left Behind. The program had tougher requirements for states, and it provided more federal funding.
On August of 2005, one of the deadliest natural disasters in the history of the U.S. happened. Hurricane Katrina affected the Gulf of Mexico area, especially Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. New Orleans was the city that was most affected. The city's outdated levees could not hold the massive amounts of water. This caused the city to flood. About 80% of the city was flooded. Bush and his administration were not prepared for this disaster. Their response was very slow and unorganized. The government was accused of negligence and incompetent because of their response. Here we have Erin Edders from New Orleans, and she was in the city when the hurricane happened.
I remember people were desperate and didn't know what to do. I tried to get home, but the streets were too flooded. I thought response teams were going to come quickly, but that wasn't the case. I lost everything that day, and I felt completely abandoned by the government.
On September the 11th, enemies of freedom committed an act of war against our country.
The 9/11 attacks caught America off guard, but we made sure this would never happen again. On October 26, 2001, President Bush signed the Patriot Act into law.
Today we take an essential step in defeating terrorism while protecting the constitutional rights of all Americans.
The new law gave the government the power to increase the surveillance on suspected terrorists and increase screening and security on immigration. Also, in 2002, the government created the Department of Homeland Security and the TSA to increase the protection of the American people.
With my signature, this law will give intelligence and law enforcement officials important new tools to fight a present danger.
I'm here with this woman to interview her about the Patriot Act. Ma'am, how do you feel about the act?
I don't mind the act because I believe it's beneficial to everybody. helps us in preventing future tragic events, and I think it keeps everybody safe. They've already busted the Lackawanna 6 as a result of this act, so I think it's beneficial.
While many are for the Patriot Act, how do you feel about it?
Well, I'm against the act because I feel like it's a violation of our rights. The government should not and cannot be spying on us. They keep surveilling our daily lives, and that should not be happening.
Thank you.
After the 9/11 attacks, the Bush administration declared a war on terror.
The enemy of America is not our many Muslim friends. It is not our many Arab friends. Our enemy is a radical network of terrorists and every government that supports them. Our war on terror begins with Al-Qaeda, but it does not end there. It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated.
The U.S. aimed to destroy Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. The Taliban controlled Afghanistan. They allowed Al-Qaeda to operate out of their country. After 9/11, the Taliban refused to give up bin Laden. The U.S. and its allies began conducting different covert military operations and eventually gained control of Afghanistan.
On September 11, 2001, the worst attacks on American soil happened. Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden, hijacked 4 planes and attacked the United States. The first plane hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center at 8:45 a.m. The second plane hit the South Tower of the World Trade Center at around 9:03 a.m. By then, Americans knew they had been attacked. A third plane hit the west wall of the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. 189 people were killed once the third flight hit. The fourth plane was believed to be headed to the White House, but as soon as the passengers of this flight got word of the attacks, they heroically forced the plane to land in a field in Pennsylvania.
Bush's presidency was filled with joyous occasions such as the passing of Medicare, but also horrible catastrophes such as the 9/11 attacks. Do you feel we've included the most important parts of Bush's presidency? Let us know in the comments below.